The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're going to love it.
Okay, let's go.
All right, that's it. Anyway, have a great weekend, everybody. Oh, last prediction. I do think Biden's going to drop out. It could even happen this weekend. All right, come on. You got to give me these little wins. Little wins. All right, happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. Man, these weekends are eventful, huh? We went from President Trump's assassination attempt last weekend to now President Biden dropping out. So anyway, I wanted to start with that. And, again, I can't say, I don't know, actually. I think most people expected this, although, again, you have, this is what's funny. You have these political pundits that are supposed to be the people that everybody listens to, and then also commentators on the news, like Joe Scarborough on MSNBC.
Tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
She knows so long as she was 9.
In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been.
President Biden has a photographic memory. His understanding and mastery of a complicated geopolitical situation, remarkable.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
I was sitting, 2 feet from him across the table, and he was, intense.
Have trouble walking sometimes? Yeah, so did FDR. He wanted GD war.
But he's totally focused. He's very sharp.
They say he's sharp in meetings and so on.
Very lucid, very well informed. Biden is stately, and he comes with gravitas. There hasn't been, as far as I know, a single claim that Biden made a mistake.
Ageism is an issue. Americans have a rich history of holding people's physical characteristics against them. Okay, you can ask African Americans.
He's older. That doesn't mean that he is unfit, and there's a lot of ageism there.
Now, this age attack, this obsession by the right,
Joe Biden may not be able to speak for himself the way that he used to.
They want to think to take on government if we get out of line, which they're talking again about, and that's him.
Yikes. All right, those were all clips from last week. And so again, I wanted to play that because, and I could care less if it's me or whoever it is, but you just cannot put your faith in what the mainstream media is telling you anymore. And by the way, this is on both sides. Honestly, I could probably cobble a collection of clips from Fox News and Newsmax and all the right-wing organizations on whatever, and maybe on something related to Trump or something anti-Biden, and it's the same thing. I'm just saying that overall, I think more than anything, you really just have to, just judge things for yourself. Really judge things for yourself. And again, for those of you that have listened for a long time, we've talked a lot about President Biden's health, and I've shared that I got to a point with him where I didn't even like making fun of it anymore. And I don't think I ever really made fun of it, but I didn't really even like to make demeaning comments about it because he's old. He's definitely old. And anyway, I'm really glad he did decide to drop out. I think that absolutely was the right thing to do. Now let's see what's next. We've talked about this a lot. I'll kind of share with you what I'm hearing. And one of the big rumor mill is Hillary Clinton. That definitely is something that honestly surprises me a little. I don't know. I just can't see. Although maybe I can. She has a lot of people that really still love her. So, that's coming to the forefront a lot. Alex Jones. I don't really play much Alex Jones on this podcast. The guy has had some seriously incredible calls that he's made years ahead of time, and they've turned out to be true. But he's just such a oh man, he's a hot potato for sure. So I don't really play him that much, but he is incredibly well researched and obviously according to some people that I talk to, he is like the guy when it comes to other political commentators basically getting their information from him. And he's really adamant that it's going to be Hillary. He thinks it's going to be Hillary. I think part of this has to do with, and I need to look this up a little bit better, but supposedly if President Biden releases the delegates, now he has all the delegates, and he has to not endorse Vice President Harris and not give her his delegates in order for those delegates to basically be up for grabs at the Democratic National Convention that's coming up. And so what happens, or what will happen then, is at that convention, I mean, it's literally like whoever wants to be a candidate will make their case, and they could win over delegates from the various or all the states and become the candidate. That's how Hillary could get in. From what I was reading this weekend, the only way it's guaranteed to be Kamala is if Biden gives her all the delegates. And then what was crazy was, man, half the posts I saw said President Biden is endorsing her. The other half said that he is not endorsing her and not giving her the delegates. I don't think he's going to give her the delegates. I think that it's going to be basically like a runoff at the Democratic National Convention. But information seems to be coming out on that, rapidly. So I'll keep you posted on that. All right, moving on to President Trump. I'm going to play this for you guys because I created it over the weekend. I thought I was going to get more traction than it did, but whatever. Anyway, he gave a rally speech in either Michigan or Pennsylvania. I'm blanking on which state it was. On Saturday, it was his first appearance with J.D. Vance. And I mean, again, I will say that is not a changed dude at all. Like 0%. I did not find any change in President Trump. And, again, I really do think the United States and the world was absolutely better off 2016 to 2019 before COVID, forget COVID, versus 2020 to 2024. I mean, we weren't in these two wars there. Yeah, I've said this 100 times. Basically, it was mean tweets. And yes, there was division in the country. But I think it's becoming pretty apparent for anyone that doesn't have Trump derangement syndrome. And if you can actually look at this from a common sense standpoint and not let your emotions get the best of you, it is becoming very apparent. And Kaizen, by the way, my guest episode that launched on Saturday, said it in one of the clips that I played on Friday, in that it was the mainstream media that created that division. And again, I want to stress this because it really was. It really was. Again, Trump before 2016, nobody hated him. He was in a million rap songs. He was on Oprah. He was on The View. He was everywhere. He was the Apprentice guy. Everybody loved him. He was a media darling. Becomes a Republican and runs for president. And more importantly, even more importantly than him becoming a Republican, I think the establishment class thought he was gonna, flip the script on him and lift up the curtain and drain the swamp and all of that stuff that was spun so negatively. If you really dissect it, and had he been able to articulate it better, holy mackerel. I mean, he was basically calling people out. He was basically calling a spade on people that have been fleecing the system and fleecing the American people and fleecing the taxpayers. And all of this military-industrial complex and all of these forever wars and all of these things that really have been going on, quite frankly, ever since George H. Bush Sr. and all of that, he was he was going to pull the curtain up on all that stuff. And it's very unfortunate he wasn't able to message that properly, because I think had he did, he would have been a lot more effective. But he also had to completely fight the entire establishment class, as well as the entire mainstream media, and really everything, all that negativity that came its way. As Kaizen said in the clip, and then also in the interview that launched on Saturday with him, all of that stuff started in 2016. It just did. And if you can find negativity clips on Trump prior to 2016, send them to me and I'll play them. But I don't think you'll be able to. I really don't, because I've looked and I've tried to find, that vitriol hate of him prior to him running for president, and there's been nothing. I haven't been able to find anything. Anyway, what I wanted to play for you guys real quick, and I'll play it and maybe talk during it, is, I thought to myself, and I said this on Friday, I genuinely think he missed a golden opportunity with his speech at the Republican National Convention. I had a bunch of discussions with a variety of people over the weekend, as well as then, through online stuff. And, it's funny, the Trump derangement syndrome, that applies to people who hate Trump. But there's also like a Trump worship syndrome. And that applies to the people that love Trump. And I have a couple friends that do absolutely love him, and they thought his speech was incredible. And again, to me, I'm like, God, what speech were you listening to? What was incredible about that speech? You can't say everything he does and says is incredible, because it's just not. And again, that speech wasn't incredible. It started off heartfelt. I even thought the way he, chronologically talked about the assassination attempt, I didn't think that was that compelling. He started off with it was a beautiful, warm, sunny day, da-da-da. It kind of reminded me of that funny story where people are like, I was born the son of a black sharecropper. You've heard that analogy. Anyway, this Trump worship syndrome, this thing is real too. It really is. I don't think Trump worship syndrome is good, and I don't think Trump derangement syndrome is good. So now imagine if this was Trump's speech on last Thursday, and I've taken 90 minutes that he talked and condensed it into what could have been a 3-minute speech.
Good evening, America. I want to begin by expressing my deepest gratitude for the overwhelming support and love that was shown to me and my family after the assassination attempt last Saturday. Your messages, prayers, and acts of kindness have been a source of immense strength during this challenging time. When you come face to face with the possibility of losing your life, it profoundly changes your perspective. It makes you reflect on how precious life truly is and how important it is to cherish every moment we have. Prior to 2016, nobody really thought of me as the enemy. I went on so many talk shows like Oprah and The View, and of course, many of you probably knew me best from The Celebrity Apprentice. I was featured in hundreds of rap songs, and you can find pictures of me with everyone. I also had great relationships with all the Democrats who now seem to have become my adversaries. But I acknowledge that during my time in politics, I have been divisive. It's easy to get caught up in the battles and lose sight of the bigger picture. This reflection has brought me to realize that we need more unity, more empathy, and more understanding. I stand in front of you today a changed man, and I'm going to be honest, I'm changed because I shouldn't be here. It's hard for me to watch the simulations and see just how close that bullet came to ending my life, but instead of ending it, it has caused me to have a new beginning, a beginning that is based on unity. I am standing in front of you today committing that for those of you that have been my enemy since 2016, I will commit to once again being friends. Whether it is my political adversaries, the mainstream media, which I've been in constant conflict with, or even the foreign leaders that I have had good and bad relationships with. At the end of the day, we are all human beings and just want the best for our children and our families. It is time that we all judge one another on our actions and our own words, not those that are placed in our mouths. Thank you, and God bless America.
All right, so I actually wrote that speech with a little help from ChatGPT, and then I took that into another piece of software that mimicked Trump's voice, and there you have it. But again, seriously, imagine if that was the speech he delivered in 3 minutes, a 3-minute speech, united everybody, and basically, let's say he continued down that type of temperament and that type of path. Now, the funny thing is I played that for a few people, then I posted it, and I had some people say, that's not what we want from Trump. We love him just the way he is. And I'll just end the Trump section by saying the people that have that view, and I think the biggest problem he has right now is he continues to just talk to his base and talk to the people that love him and reinforce kind of his ego, to be honest with you. I mean, again, if you want to call a spade, and if you can put your Trump worship syndrome aside for a second, he loves that positive reinforcement. But again, he already has all those people. There's not one person that has Trump worship syndrome that is going to vote against him, no matter what he says. So if I was him, I'd be focusing on getting all the people that hate him to not hate him so much. You focus on the Trump derangement people, not the Trump worship people. You've already got those people. Anyway, that's my thoughts. I really do think that if he were to take a direction like that, and I thought maybe after coming out of the assassination attempt, it would have changed him, but based on what I saw, I believe in Pennsylvania over the weekend, I don't think it has. And again, that is what it is. I guess it's tough to change. All right, next clip from AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she said this before President Biden dropped out, but I think it's interesting and it's short and it's worth listening to.
I'm going to say what a lot of these folks aren't saying. I'm just going to say it. If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave, that they will support Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. And I'm going to say that because if they're going to come out and say all their little things on background off the record, but they're not going to be fully honest, I'm going to be honest for them. I'm in these rooms. I see what they say in conversations. A lot of them are not just interested in removing the president. They are interested in removing the whole ticket.
All right, so that definitely opens the door for Hillary. That really does. That opens the door for Hillary, and then obviously Gavin Newsom as well. I really have thought it was going to be Gavin Newsom, but man, it seems like it might be leaning toward Hillary. And then maybe Gavin Newsom would be her VP. Interesting. Maybe it's a Clinton Newsom ticket. And then they're thinking she goes 4 years, maybe 8 years. And then right behind her, again, this is if the Democrats had their way, then you'd have Gavin for 8 years. Okay, let's put that into the mix. That is interesting. All right, and speaking of Gavin Newsom, so this thing has been going around Instagram pretty hardcore now, and I don't think a lot of people knew this. I kind of knew it, but I didn't really know it as well. But so Gavin Newsom had an affair with his secretary, Ruby Rippy Turk, and she was the wife of his campaign manager and good friend. Okay. So he basically had an affair with his campaign manager's wife, which is pretty bad. This was in January of 2007. And his campaign manager, Alex Tork, resigned after confronting Newsom over a sexual affair the mayor had with his wife in late 2005. So this is when Gavin Newsom was mayor of San Francisco and running for governor. And then he slept with his campaign manager's wife. And if you think that that is fake news,
I want to make it clear that everything you've heard and read is true. And I am deeply sorry about that. I've hurt someone I care deeply about, Alex Turk, his friends and family. And that is something that I have to live with and something that I am deeply sorry for. I am also sorry that I've let the people of San Francisco down. They expect a lot of their mayor, and my personal lapse of judgment aside, I am committed to restoring their trust and confidence, and will work very hard in the upcoming months to make sure that the business of running the city is framed appropriately. I also want to extend a personal apology to everyone in our administration, to my staff that I just met with, to my friends and my family members. I am deeply sorry.
All right, so that was him. So it is true. Now, again, I mean, let me be super clear about this. One, yes, having an affair with your campaign manager's wife is not good, and it's not nice, and it's not ethical. And again, I mean, it's kind of like what Kaizen said about the potential of Trump having the affair with Stormy Daniels, although that she literally said it never happened. But regardless, yes, what Gavin Newsom did was bad. I mean, again, I'm bringing that to your attention and playing it not to like bash on Gavin Newsom because of it, even though, again, I can't say I'm a huge fan of his, but it's more to just, again, reinforce the point that I've tried to make, a lot over this podcast and that is that people are people. Like Gavin Newsom is just some horny dude, like the rest of us horny dudes. He's literally no different than anyone else. And so you can't put him on these pedestals. Honestly, that was my only point. I didn't even play that as a way to bash Gavin Newsom or say, see, he's the same as Trump to you guys that think Trump is bad, blah, blah. Honestly, that wasn't even my intention. My intention simply was to, again, make you realize that people are people. Everybody fundamentally is flawed, including myself. And so, you can't put anyone on a pedestal like that. And a lot of people do. They put a lot of politicians on pedestals, and especially him because he's a good-looking guy. He's charismatic. So anyway, just keep it real. Keep it real with everybody. All right, last clip for today. This is in preparation for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu coming to address Congress, which he did that back in the Obama era. I'm going to find that clip and play it. But this is pretty wild. Listen to what Republican Speaker of the House, Mike Big Johnson, said he's going to do to anyone that interrupts a foreign leader, Mr. Netanyahu, speaking to our Congress.
I can't believe I'm even reporting this. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, says he will arrest any members of Congress who dare to interrupt Benjamin Netanyahu's speech inside of Congress next week. Again, he is threatening members of America's Congress with arrest if they interrupt a foreign leader giving them advice on what to do. And look at this article. It's from the Times of Israel. How much power does a foreign country have over us where American politicians would be arrested if they spoke out against that dictator, who's apparently a dictator of America, too? No country in the world would ever allow something like this. Israel themselves would never allow the President of the United States to ever go visit their version of Congress, the Knesset, to give advice to them. This is absurd. And when Benjamin Netanyahu gives his speech on camera, it is also broadcasting to the world that Israel rules America.
Man, all right. There's more to come on that. All right, everybody, we got a good week ahead. I'm going to have a couple more of the guest interviews that will definitely get played. And man, let's see what happens. Let's see who replaces President Biden. It did look like, by the way, last thing, it did look like Obama came out and praised him for stepping down, but Obama did not say, hey, we're all behind you, Kamala. So that was interesting, and we'll see kind of how that plays out. In my opinion, it's Hillary, Gavin. I don't know which order. Seems to be coming down to that. All right, everybody, call a spade a spade. We'll have a great week. Talk to you soon.
The ending was terrific.
This episode was brought to you by the new book, Deep Shallow Dive Into You, available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hardcover and paperback. Don't forget to sign up for our new mailing list on our website at deepshallowdive.com.